Native Son by Richard Wright
as read by Amiye Brown
and Tamayi Akinlonge
and Sheon Adikoya
and Sheson Adekoya.
Book 1, Fear. An alarm clock clanged in the dark and silent room. A bread spring creaked. A woman's voice sang out impatiently. "Bigger, shut that thing off." A surly grunt sounded above the teeny ring of metal. Naked feet swished dryly across the planks in the wooden floor, and the clang ceased abruptly. "Turn on the light, Bigger." "All right," came a sleepy mumble. Light flooded the room and revealed a black boy standing in a narrow space between the iron beds, rubbing his eyes with the backs of his hands. From a bed to his right, the woman spoke again. "Buddy, get up from there. I got a big washing on my hands today, and I want you all out of here." Another black boy rolled from the bed and stood up. The woman also rose and stood in her nightgown. "Turn your head so I can dress," she said. The two boys averted their eyes and gazed into a far corner of the room. The woman rushed out of her nightgown and put on a pair of steppings. She turned the bed from which she had risen and called, "Vera, get up from there." "What time is it, Ma?" asked a muffled adolescent voice from beneath a quilt. "Get up from there, I say." "Okay, Ma."
A brown-skinned girl in a cotton gown got up and stretched her arms above her head and yawned. Sleepily, she sat on a chair and fumbled with her stockings. The two boys kept their faces averted, while their mother and sister put on enough clothes to keep them from feeling ashamed. And the mother and sister did the same while the boys dressed. Abruptly, they all paused, holding their clothes in their hands, their attention caught by a light tapping in the thinly plastered walls of the room. They forgot their conspiracy against shame, and their eyes strayed apprehensively over the floor. "There he is again, Bigger!" the woman screamed, and the tiny one-room apartment galvanized into violent action. A chair toppled as the woman, half-dressed and in her stocking feet, scrambled breathlessly upon the bed. Her two sons, barefoot, stood tense and motionless, their eyes searching anxiously under the bed and chairs. The girl ran into a corner, half-stooped and gathered the hem of her slip into both of her hands and held it tightly over her knees. "Uh-oh," she wailed. "There he goes!" The woman pointed a shaking finger. Her eyes were round, fascinated with horror. "Where? I don't see him." "Bigger, he's behind the trunk," the girl whimpered. "Vera," the woman screamed. "Get up here on the bed. Don't let that thing bite you." Frantically, Vera climbed upon the bed and the woman caught hold of her. With their arms entwined about each other, the black mother and the brown daughter gazed open-mouthed at the trunk in the corner. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Bigger looked round the room wildly, then darted to a curtain and swept it aside and grabbed two heavy iron skillets from a wall above a gas stove. He whirled and called softly to his brother, his eyes glued to the trunk. "Buddy, yeah? Here, take this skillet. Okay. Now get over by the door. Okay." Buddy crouched by the door and held the iron skillet by its handle. His arm flexed and poised. Save for the quick, deep breathing of the four people, the room was quiet. Bigger crept tiptoe towards the trunk with the skillet clutched stiffly in his hand, his eyes dancing and watching every inch of the wooden floor in front of him. He paused and, without moving an eye or muscle, called, "Buddy, huh? Put that box in front of the hole so he can't get out." "Okay." Buddy ran to a wooden box and shoved it quickly in front of a gaping hole in the molding and then backed again to the door. Holding the skillet ready, Bigger eased to the trunk and peered behind it cautiously. He saw nothing. Carefully, he stuck out his bare foot and pushed the trunk a few inches. "There he is!" the mother screamed again. A huge black rat squealed and leaped at Bigger's trouser leg and snagged his teeth, hanging on. "God damn!" Bigger whispered fiercely, whirling and kicking out his leg with all the strength of his body. The force of his movement shook the rat loose and sailed it through the air and struck a wall. Instantly, it rolled over and leaped again. Bigger dodged at the rat, and the rat landed against the table leg. With clenched teeth, Bigger held the skillet. He was afraid to hurl it, fearing that he might miss. The rat squeaked and turned and ran in a narrow circle, looking for a place to hide. He leaped again, past Bigger, and scurried on dry, rasping feet to one side of the box and then to the other, searching for the hole. Then it turned and reared upon its hind legs.
Native son, fear.
We skipped all the names. That was brilliant.
Hit him, Bigger, Buddy shouted. Kill him, the woman screamed. The rat's belly pulsed with fear. Bigger advanced a step, and the rat emitted a long, thin song of defiance. Its black, beady eyes glittering, its tiny forefeet pawing the sky restlessly. Bigger swung the skillet. It skidded over the floor, missing the rat, and clattered to stop against the wall. God damn! The rat leaped. Bigger sprang to one side. The rat stopped under a chair and let out a furious shriek. Bigger moved slowly backward towards the door. Give me that skillet, Buddy, he asked quietly, not taking his eyes from the rat. Buddy extended his hand. Bigger caught the skillet and lifted it high in the air. The rat scuttled across the floor and stopped again at the box and searched quickly for the hole. Then it reared once more and bared long yellow fangs, piping shrilly, belly quivering. Bigger aimed and let the skillet fly with a heavy grunt. There was a shattering of wood as the box caved in. The woman screamed and hid her face in her hands. Bigger tiptoed forward and peered. I got him, he muttered. He clenched his teeth, buried in a smile. By God, I got him. He kicked the splintered box out of the way, and the flat black body of the rat lay exposed, its two long yellow tusks showing distinctly. Bigger took a shoe and pounded the rat's head, crushing it, cursing hysterically. You son of a bitch! The woman on the bed sank to her knees and buried her face in the quilts and sobbed. Lord, Lord, have mercy. Oh, Ma, Verd whispered, bending to her. Don't cry, it's dead now. The two brothers stood over the dead rat and spoke in tones of awed admiration. Gee, he's a big bastard. That son of a bitch could have cut your throat. He's over a foot long. How in the hell do they get so big?
The Pulley by George Herbert, as read by Toby Adikoya.
And Adobe Okwara. When God at first made man, having a glass of blessing standing by, let us, said he, pour on him all we can, let the world's riches which dispersed lie contract into a span.
So strength first made a way, then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure. When almost all was out, God made a stay, perceiving that, alone of all his treasure, rest in the bottom lay.
For if I should, said he, bestow this jewel also on my creature, he would adorn my gifts instead of me, and rest in nature, not in the God of nature. So both should losers be.
Yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with repining restlessness. Let him be rich and weary, that at least, if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast.